You're listening to the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. Now here's your hosts, Kevin, Derek, and Alex.
Alrighty, welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. I am Derek, and I am joined, as always, by your co-host, Kevin. How are we doing tonight?
We're doing all right, man. Doing all right. Got to hang out with the family here tonight. Son had his Christmas program at school, so that's always fun to go watch the little kids, sing along and do that stuff. So that was fun, and now we're getting ready for a good weekend. Like tomorrow, I know we don't do a whole lot of college talk, but super excited for tomorrow. Watching, Championship Saturday take place, and Sunday we got an interesting slate of games. I think some might have the chance to be good, but there's a lot of games with big spreads this week.
Yes. What I'm not excited about is for tomorrow in college football, because I don't have a dog in that fight.
I got a dog in that fight.
I was trying to set that one up for you, and it rim, that one of those rim shot kind of thing. So I like it. But my Sooners will not be playing on championship conference championship Saturday here, and first time in many years. So a little sad there. We'll see how this offseason really shakes out for us, and the drama continuing to unfold with that saga. But I digress.
You might still get to play Alabama, though, because if Georgia beats Bama, honestly, that'd be a bowl game that would bring in a ton of attention, a big crowd,
right?
And it'd be worth the watch. So you guys still might get your shot at Alabama this year.
Yeah, we might. And the last time that Oklahoma played Alabama outside the college football playoff, that was a Trevor Knight Sugar Bowl, I believe, where they just took it to the Crimson Tide all game long. And for me, that was a lot of fun to watch. So, history may repeat itself type of thing there, but who knows what that actually looks like from a coaching staff perspective, from all of these players that I've seen entering a transfer portal and everything else going on there. So it'll be just interesting to see how this one works and shakes out. And so, we'll just have to wait and see how how bowl season really shapes up here. But I was looking at the slate of games with you, and I've got that same kind of thought that, oh my gosh, these are some games that, big spreads on some of them, and some of them that have some pretty decent spreads. I'm like, that one scares me a little bit on people being able to cover some of those things there. We had an interesting game last night with the Cowboys and the Saints, and how all of that kind of played out there. And so it was very, very interesting to see that one do. And if I remember right on our Tuesday show, I remember a guy saying that game would end somewhere around about 27-20, but the Cowboys would cover, the under would come in. And I'm really glad that I listened to that guy.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
That's short-term memory, huh?
Yeah, exactly. I've had some other things going on, Derek.
Yeah, that's true. Any other thoughts on that game last night?
Taysom Hill got there as far as fantasy production went, but a lot of it came off that 70-yard touchdown late in the game. For those people freaking out about Zeke Elliott, yes, the fact that he didn't fall into the end zone sucked, but he still out-touched Pollard 2-1. So Zeke is still seeing the volume, right? So if you played Pollard and you got that 58-yard touchdown, and that definitely made his day, I'm sure you're happy. But looking at how it broke down, Zeke still saw a 2-1 touch performance over Tony Pollard. Yes, he didn't do quite as much with it, but the Cowboys didn't necessarily need them to. Like, it never felt like the Cowboys were in danger of losing that game. They turned Taysom Hill over 4 times, and now he has a similar injury to his finger, they're thinking, that Russell Wilson had. So it's probably going to be back to the Trevor Siemian show here next week. So the Saints are about ready to pack it in for the season. They're just running out of things to fight for here. But overall, CeeDee Lamb was good, but Dak and CD just seemed off, right? Like, CD only brought in what was it, 7 of his 15 targets. And it just wasn't quite there. Obviously, they got the defensive touchdown, which helped put them over the edge. So they just kind of salted the game away. But there's still something about that Dallas offense that isn't clicking just right at the moment. And the Saints defense is pretty good. I mean, their offense has been very bad lately, so that defense has seen a lot of snaps and they're wearing down. But that's still a pretty good defense down there in New Orleans. So it's still going to be interesting coming down the stretch here, especially for the Cowboys. They got to wake up. They put in such a great performance for the first half of the season. They got to wake up and finish it off, or it's going to be all for naught.
Exactly. Early exit if not absolutely there. So no, it was an interesting game there too, right? And kind of, touching on the Tony Pollard part there again. I believe the stat line was without that one long run, it was like 6 for 13 outside of that type of thing. So definitely saved the performance there, things like that. But the Saints have been very much a team that is very tough to run the ball against. Like that is their identity on defense. They're going to do whatever they can to stop the run, limit the run, and they're going to make you beat them through the air. And in years past that worked very well because of the fact that, they had somebody on the other side of the ball on their offense that could gunsling the ball all over the place and keep them in games if it turned into a shootout type of thing. So not the case anymore. And this is not the Saints of a couple of years ago. This is the Saints. This is the Saints in a rebuild type of structure, and it'll be interesting to see how this thing continues to evolve and what their future really shapes up like. So definitely an interesting one there, right? Like I didn't see any like super big standout performances. Taysom Hill was good for fantasy, bad for actual NFL. Dak was serviceable for fantasy, but again, didn't put up a massive stat line, and really nobody in this game had that massive stat line that I thought that some of us were expecting to see out of this one. And it just really didn't come to pass there.
Right.
So, but any other thoughts on this one?
No, not on this one. It's time to get to the main slate here and see what we got cooking.
You're not kidding. And like we said, it's going to be a very interesting one. Before we head on in there, if y'all can do us a favor, head over to YouTube, click the subscribe button, ring the bell. Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast YouTube channel. Help support the show that way by clicking the subscribe button, ring the bell. That way you see every time that we go live on this one. But let's go ahead and head to our very first matchup of the week here, and that is going to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers heading to the Atlanta Falcons. Tampa Bay is favored by 10.5. The over-under is 50.5. What are your thoughts on this one?
I don't see how Atlanta keeps this within 10.5. And Tampa Bay has been a little bit slower on the road, and it just hasn't clicked for them as quickly as at home. But Atlanta's so bad, guys. I mean, Tampa Bay will find a way to shut Cordell Patterson down, and they're going to dare Matt Ryan to just try and beat him, but he's not going to be able to. I mean, he's not going to be able to do that. There's one guy that you have to worry about with Cordell Patterson. Kyle Pitts might make an appearance here, but a lot of that's going to determine offensive line play, which the Falcons also haven't had great, success with this season. So, the over-under does scare me slightly because I think Tampa Bay could just run out and hide in especially the back half of the third quarter through the fourth quarter. So the over-under scares me a little bit, but I do think Tampa Bay covers this game.
Right, and Tom Brady is especially having been in Tampa Bay and seen the Falcons 3 games so far while he's been down there. He's had very, very good performances. So I would look for him to continue that hot streak going on there. Cordero Patterson may get his, and it may be one of those that we see him get his more through the passing game than we necessarily do from the running game, because Tampa has been good against the run. Not as good as they have been last year, but still very good against the run. And they're going to have to do something because, quite frankly, the Atlanta passing game, all you got to do is kind of bracket Kyle Pitts and, Dare Russell, Gage, any of the other receivers that they have on the roster to try and beat you. And it has not been a winning recipe for success this season. So be an interesting one to see this play out. I think I'm right there with you. I think Tampa Bay goes out there and just pummels them. But the thing that scares me in this one, right? Like as I see Tampa Bay getting to about 30 points and just kind of, okay, ho hum and just let this thing play out there. I don't know that the Falcons are going to get anywhere near close to sniffing 20 points on this thing. So I think I'm there with you that I'm going to take the Bucks to cover, take the under on this one, just because I don't like the fact that I think for this one to play out there, I think you've got to see Tampa Bay probably 31 to the Falcons 20 type of thing as far as how the line would move on this one. And I just don't see it coming anywhere close to that, and see that probably, this one wouldn't surprise me if you see a 35-14 type of game, 35-10 type of game. And so that's where I'm kind of leaning at, and that's where I'm thinking this one's going to play out.
Yeah, I'd agree. Somewhere in that neighborhood. I think 17 points is the high water mark for the Atlanta Falcons in this game.
Right.
And I agree. I think Tampa Bay finds a way to touch 30, and it pretty easily, honestly. So I'm in lockstep with you there. Either way, however you spin it, it is hitting the under. We're not quite getting a 50, but Tampa Bay more than covers this 10.5.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Let's go ahead and head on over to the Arizona Cardinals facing the Chicago Bears. Arizona favored by 7.5. The over-under on this one is 42.5. Very interesting line on this one.
I am waiting to see what the hell is going on with Kyler and DeAndre Hopkins.
Mm-hmm.
Like if Kyler and DeAndre play, I do think Arizona finds a way to get past that hook and win by 8 or more. If Kyler doesn't play, I'm not overly convinced that this is going to be a 7-point game. It might be a 6-point game. It might be right at a 7-point game, and they just don't get the hook.
Right.
But I mean, Kyler and DeAndre are surely good for that half point if they do play. I'm not sure that they are. They're game time decisions again. So I'm probably staying away from this one, honestly, until we know more. And I know that once Kyler and DeAndre, if they get ruled out, that spread will drop. Like they will pull the numbers and they will reset to kind of cover what Vegas is doing out there in the desert. But I think for this game, I'm waiting. Like I have no interest in bidding or betting on this game with those two key pieces being up in the air.
Right. And it looks like Justin Fields is still very questionable heading into this. Andy Dalton still taking first team reps most of the week on this one. So
I think Nagy said that Hopkins was going to start earlier today.
You mean Dalton?
Dalton.
Okay. I missed that one, but it wouldn't surprise me with the way that the practice and the injury reports that I've seen kind of coming out there. I had not seen the Nagy bit coming out there, but this line was a very interesting one when you see some things move on this one, because typically if you see any change in the spread, you also see an equivalent change in the over under. And this one didn't happen. It was almost an inverse effect, right? The line opened at 7 and the over under was 43.5. The line increased to 7.5, favoring that, but then decreased to 42.5. So kind of an interesting movement there on that one. And I think you're right. This could be one of those that if Kyler doesn't play, if DeAndre doesn't play, I see this being another low scoring type of affair. I do think that the Cardinals are still going to win this thing, but it wouldn't surprise me if those two not playing, that this thing turns into a 24-20, 20-17 type of matchup there. If they play, I could see that one, increasing there. And in which case, like at that point, I see the Arizona being able to move the ball better, have longer drives, sustained drives, things like that, to the point where, it's going to limit the Bears offensive times on the field. So, if they both play, I think you could probably see that them win by about 8, but I still think I like the under on this one, regardless of whether or not they play, just on how I don't think that there's going to be many points. And I think points are going to come at a premium in this matchup here.
Cosign.
Alrighty. Let's go ahead and head on over. We got a question actually coming in here from Twitter. Let me get that one pulled back up here. Come on. Alrighty. So the question is, need some help. Play Saquon, Odell, or Hunter Renfrow in the flex.
Saquon's your high water mark, and Hunter Renfrow is your tried and true. And honestly, depending on what your situation looks like and your playoff seeding and everything else, I'm probably leaning Hunter Renfrow. Like, how crazy is that? But I'm not convinced that the Giants are going to look any different. Mike Glennon's starting at quarterback, so the passing attack is not going to be great. Sterling Shepard and Kadarius Toney are both doubtful. That should lead towards volume for Saquon. So that's the plus side. Like, Saquon should see tons of volume because it's him and Evan Ingram and Slayton are kind of the guys running out there for the Giants. But if I'm just looking for points and if I just need something that's not a bust, Hunter Renfrow, I do not believe will be a bust. He will get you, 11 to 14 points and you will move on about your day.
Yeah, I think you very well could be onto something there. But man, that is tough to sit there and say that. And the Raiders do have the Washington football team, whereas the Giants, play in the Dolphins, and the Dolphins have been much better on defense there. So I want to say, knee-jerk reaction, I want to say Saquon, but after listening to you talk about that, I think I'm kind of brought around there on Hunter Renfrow. May be the safer play there, may have a little bit of the safer floor with Saquon having. Saquon will certainly have the higher ceiling between the two, but we've seen this Giants offense that if Saquon isn't involved in the passing game and he's not getting six receptions, not even targets, in the games that he's been successful for fantasy, he really has to have about 6 receptions and put up, 40, 50 yards through the air as well, as doing his work on the ground there. And if he doesn't, he's running back 24 to 36. Like, that's typically where he kind of is in that fringe RB2 to RB3 type of territory there.
Which would fit your flex.
Yeah.
I mean, it again, to play devil's advocate along with it does fit the flex role. Sorry, that's a tongue twister tonight. So, and go ahead and continue. But that just popped up, and it's like you can do it, and it can work.
Yeah, I would agree that I think that you're right. I think that Saquon is probably the higher floor or higher ceiling. Renfrow probably the better floor on that one, and really it just comes down to where you need to be at in order to secure victory and secure playoff seeding. So I think that's kind of how I would answer that one as well after going through that one. So let's go ahead and guys, if you have any questions or comments, anything like that, make sure you throw them out there in the chat. Let's talk about them. Let's help you guys out, see what we can do to help you guys get towards the playoffs and win some cash and trophies here. Let's go ahead and head to our next matchup here. We've got the Los Angeles Chargers and the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincy's favored by 3, the over-under 49.5. What are your thoughts here?
This game should be the best game of the morning. And that being said, I'm taking the Bengals. Like, the Chargers just have not looked good, and they're not a great road team, even though they kind of play all their games on the road with the amount of visiting fans that come into that stadium that they're sharing with the Rams in LA. But I do think the Bengals are finally starting to click. They realize that the path for success runs through Joe Mixon, and they continue to do that. Joe Mixon is a home run play this week against a really bad Chargers defense. And I think the Chargers will end up cheating up to try and stop him. And that's when Joe Burrow is going to go over the top. So I'm not saying Burrow's going to throw for 350 and 3, but Joe Burrow could throw for 360 or for 260 and 2 to, as far as fantasy production. And I expect Jamar Chase to be on the receiving end of one of those touchdowns and just kind of go from there. So the Chargers are the worst best team in football, right? Like, the record doesn't show it. The production on the field is shaky at times. But their defense, their passing defense is stout still. They're really good through the secondary. They have people who can get after the passer. And offensively, it just seems for some reason they're missing something from last year. And I don't know if it's the lack of involvement from Mike Williams that they had earlier in the season, or if it's something else and they just can't quite click. But they have the weapons to be much better than they are. But Justin Herbert's definitely the sophomore slump candidate of the year, and he exceeded rookie expectations and has since come back down to earth. Very good quarterback, absolutely going to make it in this league. There's no doubt in my mind. But the learning curve is caught up now, and defenses are saying, aha, these are his tendencies. These are how he capitalized on it. And now it's on the Chargers and Justin Herbert to counter move and develop those deficiencies and hone in on his strengths to focus in on those and win games.
Yeah. Yep. I do like what you said there about the Joe Mixon train leaving the station again on this one, because the Chargers have been just bad against opposing running backs, giving up just a ton of points every single week to opposing running backs. So I do like the Joe Mixon play here. And if you've got him, you obviously already know that you're going to start him. But for a DFS side of things, I like him in a DFS type of format there in a lot of different cases there. The line on this one is interesting because it really just depends too on what Chargers team we see show up, right? Like we've seen Chargers teams roll out there and be good and play very tight, get high scoring games, things like that going. And we've seen Chargers teams show up flat. And I have a feeling that this week is kind of going to be more of a flat type of Chargers team that we see shake out there. They typically don't play in the mornings very well. They typically don't travel east exceptionally well there. So the point where, this game is kicking off 10 a.m. local time for them, that tends to always throw them into a little bit of a, kind of mess with the rhythm routine there a little bit, it seems like. So I think Cincinnati's going to win this one. I think they're going to cover that line though of 49.5 kind of scares me here a little bit, because again, I don't know that we're going to see this game is going to be one of those that it's going to be a 24-20, 24-17 type of matchup, or we're going to see a couple of teams just both go nuclear here and, see it be somewhere in the neighborhood of scores in the 30s. So that's one.
Dang it. I do like the over.
Okay.
As you were talking about that, I guess I didn't state that a minute ago, but for what all that's worth, the Chargers can backdoor cover the over fairly easily in this game.
Right. Like this one, like this is one of those, when I look at this thing, if I looked up the final box score and it was 24-17, not going to surprise me. If I look up the final box score and it's 35-30, also not going to surprise me. So I can see and I can write different narratives for each one of those playing out there to get to either score line there. And I think you're probably right. I think we're probably going to see it where it ends up in the over side of it, but that's one of those that line is set just right at the point where I think we're going to see it either be way overshot or way underperformed. I don't think this is going to be one of those that you're tap dancing around the end of this thing going, oh my, is it going to get there? Is it not going to get there? Type of thing, like so many of these games are, and it comes down to the last play to determine whether or not that over-under is hit. I think this one will be a very quickly we'll get there, or we just won't get anywhere close to it. So very good. Any other thoughts on this one?
No, not on this one.
All righty. Let's go ahead and head to Detroit, where the Minnesota Vikings are taking on the Detroit Lions. Minnesota favored by 7.5. The over-under on this one's 46.5. What are your thoughts here?
Minnesota all day, even without Dalvin Cook. I mean, Alexander Mattison, I expect him to have a really, really good day. I think we'll see Justin Jefferson have a very strong performance. The Lions really don't pose any bit of a threat. The Vikings are fourth best in the league against the tight ends, so that takes Hawkinson out of the way. DeAndre Swift's already not playing. We know that. So, your two best offensive weapons, one's going to be rendered useless unless the Lions all of a sudden get creative, which they haven't all season long, and the other one's not going onto the field at all. So I think this is a game where they're going to be able to run out and hide pretty quick. So I'm hoping Justin Jefferson can get his in the first half, because the second half, if Kirk Cousins throws the ball more than 10 times in the second half, I'm going to be completely shocked.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that one being the case. And this is one of those too, like you look back, like Minnesota's had been very consistent having leads in the fourth quarter. The record doesn't necessarily show that they've had, I believe the stat when I was looking up was they've had a 7-point lead in the fourth quarter at one point or another in every game that they've played so far this year. And I may be wrong about that one, but
no, I think that's pretty close. I remember seeing something very similar. So I think that sounds right.
so
And that's just mind-blowing to be a sub 500 team when you've had a lead
right.
that late in every game.
Right. And so this is one of those that, like, this one almost has the feeling to me like we're going to see kind of like the Ravens and Detroit in week 2. I think that was week 3, whatever that was, early on in the season, where Justin Tucker boots a 66-yard field goal to pull victory out there. So, but I think you're right. I think Minnesota is going to get up on this one. As much as I want to see the Lions try and pull some magic out of their hats, and this could very well be a game that we could see it happen, because like our co-host Alex always says, that the Vikings, they win games that they have no business winning, and then they lose games that they have no business losing. That's one of his favorite sayings there. And this is one of those games that they have no business losing. And maybe I've been drinking the Alex Kool-Aid a little bit too much here and there, that some of that's starting to seep in on how I'm looking at some of these games here. But
I hope they can keep it close, because my shares of Justin Jefferson need that.
Yes.
Like, I need the Lions to keep the game close, so that way the Vikings continue to throw the ball and not just turn around and hand it off 35 times in this game. But holy crap, like, we said for weeks that this Lions team isn't quitting, right? They're rebuilding the culture, and Dan Campbell's keeping them, competitive for the most part. There's been a couple blowouts along the way, but good Lord, man, we're after Thanksgiving. Like, we're in December. The Bahamas got to start looking pretty good to these guys when they look up and go, holy crap, this is just, we're done for the season. Sign my check and let me go.
Yeah, they the good news is they're still trying to bite kneecaps on the way up. So
and they're sucking something else along the way.
But let's go ahead and head on over here to the next matchup here. We've got the New York Giants facing off against the Miami Dolphins, and I think you meant to say sucking a toe, right? On that one coming up.
Hey, whatever, man. Like I said, something else.
So anyway, we'll just let that one lie there. New York Giants taking on the Miami Dolphins here. The Dolphins are favored by 6. The over-under is 46.5. What are your thoughts on this one?
I think we get to the under. I just don't see any sort of weapons coming from the New York Giants side. The Miami defense has been playing very well lately, and throwing a bunch of backups at them isn't going to scare them one bit. So I think Miami covers this game. Home game, I think Jalen Waddle is going to have a good game. Myles Gaskin's been getting more involved. So, that's something to help them find some balance on the ground. Tua should have relative ease having time in the pocket there. So I just don't see how the Giants are able to make this happen. What spread did you have that game at?
I misput that on the graphic when we were going through that, and it was catching that as well when I said that. It's 39.5. So my apologies to everyone out there. It's 39.5. The Dolphins favored by 6.
I think I still like the under.
That's where I'm.
We just lost a touchdown, and I still think I'm taking the under. I just don't see how the Giants. I mean, we talked about the Falcons having a high water mark of 17. I don't even know that the Giants have that. Like, they're going to have to get unbelievable production from Saquon Barkley to get, 14 points on the board. And I think that's probably the ceiling. Like, I just don't see how they do more than that, given the ineptitude at quarterback and at now their wide receiver positions with Shepard and Tony both being doubtful, and it doesn't look good. And I think Miami can just do their thing. That defense will keep them shut down. The offense will struggle at times and look really good at others. But as long as Tua can hit, one or two big plays to Jalen Waddle, keep Gesicki in the game, there's no reason the Dolphins shouldn't control this one from start to finish.
Yeah, I would agree with you. This one here, like when you really start looking at this thing and kind of put it in an implied point total of how this thing plays out. This thing has an implied point total right around 23-17 type of thing when it's all said and done, right? Like that's ultimately kind of how that gets us to it. That gives us a 6-point spread and gives us 40 points there. So we're half point off of the over under there. But like that's one of those that if I was to look up the box score the next day, just looking at this thing, I would be surprised that there were that many points scored in this one, right? I think that you're right. I think Miami does their job on defense. We've seen a resurgent Miami Dolphins defense here playing. This is the Dolphins defense that we thought we were going to get coming into the season this last couple of weeks. And so it'll be very interesting to see how that one looks and plays and shakes out there. But yeah, this one, I think 14 points might be exceptionally high for the Giants, like 7-10 points. Like, I don't think that they're going to get shut out, but I also don't think that they're going to do much there. This one kind of has a feeling of a letdown game a little bit after they beat the Eagles last week, where they got up to play and win that one. And Tua, I don't think even has to be exceptional in this one for the Dolphins to be good and move the ball, because that Giants defense has been lackluster. So again, I don't even see the Dolphins getting to 20 points in this one. This thing has a 17-10 type of feel to me when it's all said and done.
I will disagree with you on the Dolphins side of things. Like, Tua has played so much better since the trade deadline, and all the noise of Deshaun Watson has faded away from the Dolphins organization. He seems a little looser. The injury is behind him. He's done a good job managing the team and the game script for that club. Like, I could see the Dolphins getting to 24. And that's kind of where I don't see him getting past that. Like, I could see them falling into the end zone 3 times. The Giants are bound to turn the ball over. And if they do it in minus territory and the Dolphins get the ball at their 40 or the Giants 40, I mean, 1 first down and you're already in field goal range and you're getting points off of it. So crazier things have happened, but
true.
It's
not
a pretty game, guys. This is not a pretty game.
No, this one gives me the feeling a lot of the Dolphins versus the Texans, like we saw back a few weeks ago, in which that one ended 17-9 type of thing. Now the Giants have a few more weapons on offense than the Texans do, so maybe
do they?
Well,
when healthy, yeah, but coming into this game, and do they? I mean, I don't know. It's tough. It's ugly.
Right. I would absolutely agree with you. But you know what? Fine. You talked me into it. Maybe we see the Dolphins get to 20, maybe. Like, I don't know. Most of the time when they win, they win games in the like 20-24 range, with the other team down there in the less than 14 type of range. So I do think the Dolphins are going to pick up a win here. And I do think that you're going to see a low scoring game here. And it's just going to be if you like defense, you like a slower pace type of game, this is the game that you want to turn into, is how I'm kind of seeing that one. So
one good defense, one crappy offense.
That's what I'm saying. If you like slow paced game, I think this is going to be your game for you.
So, lots of punts and incompletions, guys.
Exactly. All righty, let's go ahead and head on over to the other New York team, where the Philadelphia Eagles are heading to the New York Jets. Philly's favored by 7. Over under on this one is 45. What are your thoughts here?
In the battle of the green, I like the Eagles. Yes, they lost that game to the Giants last week, but that was an offensive ineptitude type thing. The defense still played well. I mean, so the Eagles have been playing better defensively. Defense travels. Jalen Hurts looks like he's going to play. I guess we don't have clear communication that, yes, absolutely he is. I think he's still questionable is what the tag is, but All signs indicate that Hurts is going to play, so that helps them. And even if he doesn't run the ball as much, that hurts for fantasy production. But for the game script, I don't know that they're going to need Jalen Hurts to run a whole bunch. Like, find Dallas Goedert, find Devonta Smith, and then make it work with Miles Sanders and Jordan Howard with Boston Scott being out, and survive in advance. The Jets are about cashed in too. Like, you can just tell. Salah's trying to change the culture there. They're trying to fight. So it's going to be interesting. I do think this game hits over, though. Like, I think the Jets have just enough to do their part and keep the over of that game. But ultimately, do I think the Eagles cover the 7? I think I like the push, honestly. Like, I like this being a touchdown game. I don't know that I trust the Eagles to win by more than a touchdown, though.
No. And this one here is going to be another slow-paced kind of game, as far as I see this one playing out, right? The Eagles in the last few games, they are running the ball a ton, right? Like, I remember not that long ago, you and I were on here talking about the fact that the Eagles are going through halves, only having 2 rushing attempt type of things. And now they're running the ball close to 40 times a game over the last little bit there. And so I see that again continuing to play out here. The Jets are horrendous against stopping the run this year and giving up points to opposing running backs. So as much though, this is one of those that if you've got Miles Sanders, play him, because I think he's going to absolutely have a gangbusters type of game here. And I don't say that lightly. And anybody that's watched this show for any given period of time knows that I am not a Miles Sanders fan or truther, or a little bit, like a lot of bit.
And the thing is, neither one of us have a disdain for Penn State, but man, do we not like the running backs right now that came out of there.
No. And again, that's one of those that, right. And I think a lot of that is the fact that, you and I were not bullish on Saquon coming into this season. And, it had other things to do with the fact than just the injury, right? Like, that's the thing that a lot of folks out there on the Saquon train are talking about. Well, the injury and he's bouncing back and things like that. For me, it had more to do with how the offense has changed around him and the pieces that aren't there. Same thing too with Miles Sanders. We don't see Miles Sanders heavily engaged in a passing offense and a full workload type of thing. Philadelphia is kind of, again, really seeming to like this running back by committee. And when you're going to run the ball, 40 sometimes, you almost have to run it that way. So, but I think he's going to get enough volume. I think you'll probably see Miles Sanders somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 plus opportunities in this game. And I think he'll have a very good fantasy game. Plus the Jets, they just welcome opposing running backs with open arms, turn them around, let them loose to run on the other side of the defensive line. So I see them having a good one there. Jalen, we could see what that one happens there. And the Eagles were 2 drops away from winning that game last week, even as poorly as Jalen Hurts played through the first 3 quarters of that game, right? Jalen Reagor had the drop on the one where it hits him in the face mask and then hits him in the hands and falls incomplete, and he just brings that one in. It's a touchdown. They take the lead on that thing inside a minute left to go. He had another one that hit him in the hands, fell incomplete right around the goal line. That would have been a go-ahead type of play there inside of a minute there as well. So even as poorly as Jalen Hurts played last week, they were still in a position to win that game against the Giants. And one caught ball on 2 attempts, and we're singing a different story at this time of the year on the Eagles, who would be sitting 6-6 instead of 5-7. So and still very much in the hunt for the NFC playoff race. So I think you're right. I don't know that I see the over getting touched in this game. I think it's going to be an under kind of game. I just don't see the Jets putting up any points, and I see the Eagles taking a slow ground and pound type of approach here on that one. But I think you're right. I think this is pretty much a push type of deal. For me, I think this one, I'm going to see it probably play out somewhere in the neighborhood of 23-16 type of thing. So anyway, any other thoughts on this one?
No, snooze. The morning slate of games sucks, guys. Like,
yes.
If you have things to do Sunday morning, this is honestly
go get them done.
To go do them, unless you're heavily invested monetarily in these games.
Or a fan.
Yeah, or just a fan. But if it's not one of the two of those things, this morning slate of games is as bad as we've seen this season, just top to bottom. Outside of the Chargers Bengals game, none of these games look entertaining on paper.
Fair enough. Now that you said that, I'm going to put you on the spot though, and you've got to, if I made you and I forced you to watch one of these games on the Sunday morning slate, which one is it going to be?
It's the game we're getting ready to talk about in the Colts and Texans, because I like what Jonathan Taylor is fun to watch right now.
Yes.
Right? Derrick Henry's down, Christian McCaffrey's down and out now. Like Jonathan Taylor's kind of been the darling here the last few weeks. And teams with good ground games are fun to watch for me. Like I love the aggressiveness that, of them being to kind of impose their will. I like Michael Pittman a lot. We've been on his train since last year. And Carson Wentz is proving to be more of his old self than what we saw last season. He's being very efficient, a couple really bad turnovers for sure, but overall more efficient. But this game right here is the one that I would rather watch out of all of them.
Gotcha. So yeah, Indy's favored by 10, the over under 44.5, with the Indianapolis Colts meeting up with the Houston Texans.
Maybe the Tampa Bay game. I'd watch the Tampa Bay game too, because Tom Brady's always fun to watch.
Yes. And
especially now he's a Patriot. Like
yes.
I enjoy watching Tom Brady now that he's not a Patriot, as especially as a Broncos fan. But I'd watch that one for him now. I wouldn't have said that I said it last year. I wouldn't have said it 2 seasons ago, right? When he was in New England, I wanted no part of it. In Tampa Bay, I find him entertaining.
Yes, I would agree with that wholeheartedly and co-sign on that rather heavily there. And this is an interesting one here too, right? Because the Colts, the Colts are playing like a team on fire here. You see the Texans, they are doing everything they can, but they've still got guys playing for contracts and still trying to play their way onto rosters next season. So they haven't necessarily given up and starting with Tyrod Taylor there. So this could be an interesting one where you may see a couple of long bombs here. Brandon Cooks may be in play. I'm not necessarily looking to start him in like a flex type of thing unless I've got to, but he could be an interesting play there. But I think you're right. I think the Colts are just going to take the air out of this ball and just run all over it, even though the Texans have been better against on defense there and better at giving up points. I still don't think that they've got anything to keep the Colts in check here. And so and I'm looking at this thing, I probably see this thing playing out somewhere around, 26 to 18. Well, I'm going to think on that one here a little bit longer there.
I will tell you, I think it's going to be tough. I think it could be tough for the Colts to cover just because of how poor the Texans offense is, that they could lose interest in driving the ball down the field rather quickly in this game. And we might see more Marlon Mack. We might see more Nyheim Hines, and Jonathan Taylor will still get his, don't get me wrong. But
yeah,
being up by 10 points against the Texans, this feels like more than enough cushion. So once they get up by 10, I could see them just kind of flirting around that 10 number for most of the game. And a push could be highly likely, and you could pretty easily see a backdoor cover, right? Your Texans are running their 4-minute offense at the end of the game, and they stick one in the end zone, and it ends up being, 24-17. Something like that. And it's this one seems the most likely for a backdoor cover out of all these high scoring games. But nevertheless, at 24-17, we are just under. So I guess that's kind of where I'm going to lean. I think the game is the under, and man, I'm going to take the Colts to cover, but I'm not going to put money on the Colts to cover. I'm just going to talk about it. Yes. That's how confident I am in that, guys. Like,
yes,
the 10 points is going to be tough come the end of the game.
He's a Colts on the money line type of play guy there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I think I'm right there with you. Like, I see a hard time because I think that the Colts are just going to completely take the air out of the ball on this one and just march the ball up and down the field and going to subscribe to basically the same game plan that you just laid out there. And then, like I said, I think the Texans will get a couple of shots in, put up a couple of points there. But yeah, again, this one's not going to surprise me if you look up and it's a 26-18 type of outcome, 24-17 type of deal there with, so I would, I think I'm with you. I think I'm going to stay away from this a spread, but I do like the Colts to win this game outright. And I'm kind of liking the under on this one as well. So any other thoughts on this one?
No, let's hit halftime here. Let's talk about something we're excited about in the first slate of games, or that could involve the first slate of games.
Well, now I'm interested to know, Kevin, what do we got going on here?
Well, what we have is props fantasy. It is a new it's a new way of looking at fantasy football. You are able to go to propsfantasy.com. You can import your lineups after you register from Sleeper and Yahoo, and then you can play other people's rosters from all across the globe. So you no longer have to be in the same league with someone to go head to head with them on any given week. And coming soon, we're going to be able to put a little bit of cash behind that, which makes it even more fun. So it is a lot of fun. We have been playing around with this website for the last few weeks here. We've been talking to the guys at Props Fantasy, and it's just really, really cool that we can interact not only with, playing fantasy with ourselves. If Derek and I are in different leagues and we just want to see how our teams do head to head, but it's another way to interact with the viewers and listeners. Hey, how's my team stack up? Well, let's find out. We'll throw a roster up against yours and see which dog will hunt. And competitive banter. It's the fun part about fantasy football, right? We get to talk trash to each other a little bit, and at the end of the day, figure out who was right and who wasn't.
Absolutely. And so it's, you and I are in a ton of leagues there. I think between the two of us, it's probably safe to say that we're probably in 100 leagues, if not more, between the two of us. So there's a lot of leagues out there that we're playing and that we're involved in. And, one of those that we play in a lot of leagues, where we're not faced up against each other. We play in a bunch of those as well. But, that's one of those that it's a lot of fun when we're talking back and forth and go, no, I've got the greatest fantasy team and, you couldn't touch this roster. And no, I've got the best one. Well, the beautiful thing about props is it gives you a way where you can have those teams face off against each other on any given week and really see how that one plays out. And unfortunately, our team, that we entered into the Tournament of Champions was defeated last week.
Got injured AF, and out the door we went.
Yes, we had the Christian McCaffrey, the Dalvin Cook.
CeeDee Lamb got ruled out.
Yeah, CeeDee Lamb got ruled out. So we had our wide receiver one not able to play. It was just a banged up type of week there. But regardless, we weren't able to stay in it for the Tournament of Champions. But that still doesn't mean that we can't get in on the Tournament of Champions action there. And we talked a little bit about that on Tuesday. We picked our squads there, so we're not going to really beleaguer that point too much there. But there's a lot of teams out here that you can go out and you can take a look at different types of teams and you can pick which side you think is going to win and which one you like better, which roster is better. Plus the fact that when you're looking at some of these things, you can go through and right here, boom, we've got one of these where we have a roster submitted in there and a team for somebody to try and challenge. We've entered in on some of these challenges and we're just waiting for some folks to accept our challenge on that. But let's go ahead and let's head to the board here, Kevin, and let's pick a couple of teams here, and we'll just kind of start at the top. And the very first one, let's see here, the matchup. Let's go there. We have Too Good to Be Used team and Tropiquilla's team. And so looking at the matchup here, you've got Russell Wilson facing off against Kyler, Mike Williams facing off against Stephon Diggs, Pittman against Tyreek Hill, James Conner versus Nick Chubb, Jonathan Taylor versus Josh Jacobs, Travis Kelce versus Dallas Goedert. the Vikings versus the Bucks defense, Nick Folk versus Sanders as far as the kickers matchup go, Renfro versus Lockett, Madison versus Calvin Ridley. That one, they need to make that change up there. And then even an IDP play here where you have Isaiah Simmons versus Holcomb there. And, looking at that matchup, which way do you like there? And we're going to go through some of these, and we're just going to talk about some pick'ems here, and we'll kind of showcase how you can do some of this stuff.
Man, there's a lot of fun star power on both these teams.
Yes, there is.
I think if Tropiquilla's team if they get updated, right? Chubb's on bye, so we need to update that. Calvin Ridley's not playing. We need to update that. And so you need to put in Gaskin and Beckham.
Yep.
Because Gordon's doubtful. So
yep.
Say those changes are made. I do like. I think the matchup there, but I do think I like that other team more. Russell Wilson scares me. He hasn't been getting to his projections coming back from that finger injury. Mike Williams has been a shell of his former self. I think he is a little bit over projected, if you will. But when you have Travis Kelce and you have Jonathan Taylor, you got to feel really good about your chances. Debo is something that the Too Good team needs to keep an eye on. I don't think that Debo's been officially ruled out yet, but that news I do expect tomorrow with the groin injury and them trying to rest Debo. So that's something that they'll have to update. So overall, I'm going to go with the Too Good team because I really like what Jonathan Taylor is going to be able to do against the Houston Texans. And Travis Kelce has been known to shred the Denver Broncos, and I think that trend probably continues Sunday night.
I would agree with that, and that's where we'll go on that one. So, Too Good to Be Used team, that's where we're going to go with, and that's who we're going to vote for. Let's go ahead and head back here to the arena where you can see all of the various matchups, and you can get in on the action here and vote for some teams here. So let's go to another one that they have. There's a few challenges out there that are open, but let's go out here and see if we can find, there's one. Let's go ahead and head over here to this one. So team one has got Josh Allen facing up against Matt Stafford. You got Elijah Moore versus Cortland Sutton, McLaurin versus Gage, Engelor versus Deontay Johnson, Josh Jacobs versus Javonte Williams, James Robinson versus Mark Ingram, Schultz against Andrews, Burita against Beasley, and Madison against Freeman. This is an interesting lineup here and an interesting matchup here.
Yeah, it is. I think Josh Allen is going to have a tougher time against New England this week. So that's something to be on the lookout for. But I do like Alexander Madison sitting down there in the flex spots. I think Madison's going to have a good game. Aguilar is an interesting play. In itself, I'm not sure that that's where I would be going. So I might be looking to change that one out. And then on the flip side, the Rams have to have a get-right game against Jacksonville. And we'll talk about that game more here coming up. And same thing with Javonte Williams. Melvin Gordon being doubtful. Javonte Williams should have a gangbusters game against the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday night. So I'm going to go with OG Miner's team. I like Stafford. I like Javonte Williams being a Broncos homer here a little bit. But I think ultimately those matchups prove to be a little bit easier against the competition than maybe what Josh Allen has. And the likes of Nelson Aguilar kind of turn me off from that roster currently.
Fair enough. Co-sign on that one. And that's where we're going to go on this one. Is we'll get in on the action there. Let's head back here. Let's head back over here to the arena, and we'll take a look here at some other matchups here. We'll get one or two more in here real quick and just kind of have some fun with this. As soon as my computer decides to work with me here, but there we go. Alrighty, so kind of keep going through here, and we'll get down here into some of these ones. This one here is an interesting one. This was a couple of teams that they're not in the Tournament of Champions, but they were playing in the Tournament of Champions there. And looks like right now it's kind of split between a two folks liking the Devi Royal side, two folks liking the Ball Blast side there. So let's go ahead and head on in here and see what the matchups look like, because it should be an interesting one. You've got Mahomes squared up against Lamar Jackson, DK Metcalf against Cooper Kupp, Deontay Johnson against Michael Gallup, Darnell Mooney against Matt Breida, Cordell Patterson versus Saquon, CEH versus Darrell Henderson, Mark Andrews versus Hawkinson, and Schultz versus Metcalf, Elijah Moore, and Tony Pollard facing off there. What are your thoughts on this one?
Man, I think Jeff Bell's team's got it going on. So DK Metcalf, I don't expect much. I just, again, with the Russell Wilson struggles, but both teams have him, so that cancels out. That's great. I do expect Mark Andrews to have a much better game than TJ Hawkinson, so I think the tight end matchup there clearly goes to Jeff's team. It comes down to Cooper Kupp and Darrell Henderson. Like, can they carry the weight of having a poor matchup for TJ Hawkinson? And hold on, go back, Derek, one more time. There we go.
But it's interesting too, because
so you need Kupp and
Henderson is banged up. Yeah,
right, with the quad. So Matt Breida, yes, he's found the end zone as of late, but
I don't trust that New England game.
No, I don't. And I think Mooney's output for Chicago will be better than Breida's output for the Bills. So I'm going to go with Jeff Bell's team here to take this week down.
Yeah, I like that one there as well. There's a lot of cancellations going out on that one. And I think there's enough key matchup differences there that they will win the day on this one. So I do like that matchup there, and that's where we'll head there as soon as my computer decides to allow me to do that here. You know what? We'll just do it this way. Go the old-fashioned way right there. Boom. Huh. Well, while my computer decides to update here, we'll let it kind of do its thing. But again, this is one of those that if you guys haven't had the chance to go on to Props Fantasy here and sign up and take a look, it is an absolute blast and it is absolute amazing time. One of those that we're having a lot of fun with this, throwing some of our teams up there for challenges. And we've got a couple of open challenges now to the point where you can hop on there. You can challenge the good old boys as far as some of our rosters that we've put together and things like that. And, have a blast with us going through that one. So let's, you know what? We'll just we'll come back to that. So Kevin, any other thoughts here on, or any other matchups that you're kind of interested on seeing as far as this one may go?
No, I'm kind of being a sourpuss with us being out of the Tournament of Champions, but
right.
There are some fun matchups on here, right? Like you can see we're mid-season, so free agency and trades and everything have definitely taken place. But, you can definitely see the strategy of some of these teams that are projected higher point totals. You can see the success and common players on rosters that have success, much like a Cooper Kupp, Jonathan Taylor. Those guys are leading the way here. People with Alexander Madison could find that bump that they needed, or the safety net that they needed, depending on whether they were or were not Dalvin Cook owners heading into the playoffs. So as you can see, guys, a lot of people are joining in here. There's a lot of different things to look at and play with and different ways to have fun. You just need to go to propsfantasy.com, register your or get registered. So they'll take all that, and then you will be able to uplink any team or teams that you would like from Yahoo and Sleeper currently. I know the Props Fantasy team is working with ESPN right now to get things finalized to upload those ESPN rosters as well. But again, it's a different way of looking at things. It's a different way of doing things. They take care of the scoring matchups to make everything even. As soon as you sub a guy on your main league's site or app, it automatically syncs with Props Fantasy. So you're not having to change things in multiple areas. It takes care of all that for you. You just kind of get to check in on game day and see how your team's performing and earn your bragging rights.
Absolutely. And we're at now, this one here that we've got on screen is one of the rosters that we've got as far as an open challenge out there. So feel free to hop in there, give us a challenge, and let's have some fun with this thing. And if you guys haven't already had a chance to check out Props Fantasy, you're going to miss out, because this is one of the newest, funnest ways to play fantasy, and something that I look forward to doing here for a long time to come. So absolutely, if you haven't had a chance to do it, get propsfantasy.com. Check it out. It is a blast. And I know that we've been having lots of fun with this, going back and forth there as well. So always a lot of fun there, just seeing some random matchups there. And one of those, the two that when you see the different lineups and how they have some similarities there, and how these moves will cancel each other out. So what may be a difference maker in their home league is actually, just a neutral line now, that it doesn't matter what that performance ultimately looks like. So very, very interesting. And it's a really fun and great way to play and engage in fantasy football. So awesome. Well, Kevin, I think we've still got some afternoon games to talk about here. Let's go ahead and head on over into the first matchup there. We have the Washington football team taking on the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders are actually favored in this one by 1. The over-under is 49.5. What are your thoughts here?
I do think the Raiders are just good enough to beat the potatoes. Sorry, that was me. No, Darren Waller definitely hurts the Raiders, but I do think that I think Hunter Renfrow is going to be able to pick up some of that slack in dominating the middle of the field. They seem to have found a pretty good use for Deshaun Jackson, filling in for part of that role that Henry Ruggs occupied at the beginning of the season before his issues came into play. I don't expect this to be a gangbusters high-scoring game, but I do think the Raiders can make just enough happen here to shut the receiving game of the Washington football team down. The one player that I really like for Washington is Antonio Gibson. I think Gibson is going to have a very, very good game. There are a ton of Gibson player props out there for this game that are just so juicy to get in on. So he's the one player for Washington I think is just going to light it up. And I also think that Logan Thomas has the opportunity to, if the offensive line can hold up. So ultimately, I like the Raiders. I think this game's the under. I don't know that either team is necessarily built to have, a 25-24 type ball game here to do that. So I'm thinking more along the lines of 24-20, maybe 24-17, hell, 24-23 could be possible. Something along those lines, but all of those get you to the under. So definitely like the under there. And as far as the money line goes, with the game being this close, if you're going to play, I'd play the money line and not the bet line. And that way, I'd probably take Washington at plus 100, just because the money line's better in a game that close if I'm going to play it.
Yeah. And the Raiders have been a very just kind of interesting team there, where they've shown up and they have looked really, really good at times and put up some very, very good performances. And then they go out the next week and just put up a stinker. And so it really is going to be interesting to see which Raiders team decides to show up here when it's all said and done. the Washington football team, with some of the pieces that they have out on defense, I don't know that that's going to do them any favors. I think that you're going to see a lot of Josh Jacobs in this one here. I think that you're going to see Antonio. I like the Antonio Gibson line that you're talking about there, where he is going to go absolutely just bananas in this one. And JD McKissick, I believe, is ruled out this week with the concussion from that big hit we saw last week. So we'll see what that looks like for him getting back on the field and in the future. But, Antonio Gibson, this is his time to shine without having that shared backfield and without JD McKissick coming in and running in that 4-minute or that 2-minute offense type of thing, and really putting up the fantasy volume there from all of the receptions and the PPR side of things and the yards that go along with that. But, I think I do like the Raiders to win this one. I think I do like the under, because this one, again, has a 23-18, 23-20 type of feel for it for me. So I think it is going to be extremely close. And this will be one that's, quite frankly, I'm probably just going to stay away from altogether when it's all said and done. Any other thoughts on this one?
No, probably not this one. Another kind of dud. Like, it's just not blown away. This game. Here we go.
There we go. The Rams favored by 13, taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Los Angeles Rams over under 48. What are your thoughts here?
I'm taking the Rams. I'm taking the over, because they got to be mad at some point. And what a better get-right game than to have the lowly Jacksonville Jaguars come into town and watch them be relatively irrelevant. So James Robinson's questionable for this game. So you may see some Carlos Hyde take off here. I don't expect Trevor Lawrence to light the world on fire against this defense. I think Von Miller and
Aaron Donald
and Jalen Ramsey are going to rally that defense and try and get back on track here and send a message. So I'm taking the Rams to cover, but I am going to take the under, because I don't think the Rams are going to be putting up 42 points in this game, and I don't see the Jacksonville Jaguars putting up much more than 10.
Right. Like, this is one of those that it just has the screaming effect of like 35-10, 30-10 type of thing here. And I think that this is one of those that, the Rams, once you get a big lead, right, like you even start giving your guys some extra time to rest a little bit in game type of thing. And so you may not see some of these big playmakers for the Rams much in the fourth quarter there. So that may allow Jacksonville to put up a couple of more points there. But yeah, this is one of those that this has 30-10 kind of written all over it for me on this one. And I don't even know that I see it that high. This one has, I would actually, let's go with that 30-10 type of thing. I think that's
30, 31, 10. I like that.
Yeah, that's about where this one feels like it's going to come to play. The Los Angeles Rams, I think they're going to get out early, and we're just going to see Darrell Henderson, even if he starts this game, I have a feeling that we see a just ton of Sony Michel in the second half, even if you see Darrell Henderson there. So if you're starting Darrell Henderson for fantasy, temper your expectations, even if he is a start, even if he starts this game and he is a full go, because I think, partway through the third quarter, it's going to be Sony Michel out there and not Darrell Henderson. So any other thoughts here?
No, this is the last of kind of the uneventful games, I promise. The NFL saved the best for last this week, which I appreciate. But, man, you have to wait all the way until 4:25 Eastern to get to games that actually have real relevance and entertainment value on both sides of the ball. Right.
This one should be an interesting one here. The Baltimore Ravens taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Baltimore favored by 4.5. The over-under on this one is 44. What are your thoughts on this one?
These games are always so fun to watch. These games are so physical,
yes.
Right? Like, this is as much old school type football as we get these days when the Ravens and Steelers match up. So I think this one will be a lot of fun and entertaining to watch. Steelers being at home definitely helps their chances a little bit, but I do think Baltimore finds a way to win. Lamar Jackson will be able to do enough creative things between his newfound connection with Bateman and getting Hollywood Brown back involved, Mark Andrews. Clearly, the Steelers offensively are just struggling a little bit. Like, they're going to have to find ways to keep Najee Harris involved and going, and Ben Roethlisberger is going to be getting the ball out of his hands quickly. So a lot of short yardage plays. There are going to be a couple shots to Chase Claypool. If he can hit on one of those and maybe break a big one, that'll help keep the game close. But ultimately, I think the Baltimore Ravens are a little bit too much. And man, I like this game a lot more at 3.5. I'm going to take the Ravens to cover. I think this could be a 6-point game here. And I am going to take the over, though. I do think that there's a way, again, backdoor covers. And that's a real thing here. So I think the Ravens kind of jump up. The Steelers find a way to kind of try and make it close late. But ultimately, I'm going to say the Ravens by 6.
Right. And when you look at this, right, the over-under, like you're talking, this one very well could easily be a 24-20 type of game, which at that point, I very much liked where you're talking about, where you're talking the, that line before it moved up to 4.5. But again, this one's not going to surprise me if you ultimately see this one play out where it's, 26-21, 27-21, something like that type of thing. And I could absolutely see that one come into play. I think you're right. I think Big Ben is going to do everything he can to get the ball out of his hands very quickly. So that tends to lead towards very good games for Pat Freiermuth, who's been on fire lately. Very good games for Deontay Johnson, who's been very good lately, and Najee Harris being involved in the passing game. The run game hasn't necessarily been where he's been producing at a ton for fantasy, and I see them trying to mix that thing up a little bit and get him the ball in space a little bit and let him try and do some things as far as some screen work, as far as some check downs, some of that kind of stuff on that one. So I'm liking that one, but I don't think that the Steelers, as banged up as they are on the defensive side of the ball as well, I don't see them holding the Ravens in check enough to win this game. And I think you're right. I think you're going to see about a 27-21 type of game here. Any other thoughts?
No, co-sign completely.
Cool. All righty. Let's go ahead and head on over to the San Francisco 49ers taking on the Seattle Seahawks. San Fran favored by 3.5. The over under on this one's 45.5. What are your thoughts here?
Another game, a division rivalry, teams that really don't like each other a whole heck of a lot. San Francisco's been definitely much more consistent here down the stretch, but I do think that if Debo can't go, it's going to create a couple problems for their offense. The good news is Elijah Mitchell has been on fire. Brandon Ayuk has found his role back with this offense. And while the Seahawks defense has been playing better the last couple of weeks, they're still not a great unit. And the 12th man doesn't scare the 49ers. They're used to it. They see it every year. So that, that advantage kind of goes out the window for them. I'm going to take the 49ers here because I need to see Russ play like Russ. Like, I need to see him find DK Metcalf, 7 catches on 8 or 9 targets, and Tyler Lockett has 4 catches on 6 or 7 targets for, 100 yards apiece and some touchdowns here. Like, the Seahawks ground game is non-existent, so that doesn't scare anybody right now. All the pressure is on Russ and his right arm. The good news for Seattle is that's where San Francisco's deficiency is in the secondary. The bad news is they know each other so well they'll be able to account for it. So,
right.
45. I'm going to take the under only because I feel like I just can't trust the Seattle offense until I see it right now. And lately we haven't been able to see it. So I'm going to take the under in this game. And man, I like that game at 2.5 a lot because I do think it's 49ers by a field goal. So I think I'd be more looking at the 49er money line than the game line on this one.
Right. Cosign on that one. I see this one playing out like it's right around the point where I see it being a 21 or 20 to 17 type of game there, right? Like that's really where I see this one kind of playing out there. And I think the under is a very healthy under on this one here. The Niners have been playing some very inspired football and been playing very, very well down the stretch. And lately Seattle, has not looked good at all. Even with Russ coming back into the mix there. And, you're right. I think DK Metcalf got his first target, with like 62 seconds left in that game last week. It was something where he didn't see his first target until incredibly late. And that's a difference maker on the offensive side of the ball. And you don't have a run game. Like, put it in your difference maker's hands, find a way to scheme him open, find a way to just allow him to do what he does and make a play. And then that's really where that's going to come.
Completely inexcusable is what it was. And completely inexcusable. And that goes back to play calling and Russell Wilson's decision making. Like, how can you not at least call 2 bubble screens a game for DK and just to see if he can break a couple tackles and gain 15, 20 yards? Like, he's that talented. And the fact that he didn't even get a freaking target until so late in the game that it really didn't matter anymore is just mind-blowing. So they've said all week they need to get DK involved. Russ said it right after the game. I'm saying talk is cheap. Show me. Show me you're going to feed DK Metcalf. Show me that you believe that he is, the I guess, true number one receiver on that team, and that Russ can continually find him and make plays when they need to.
Right. I mean, you think about it this way, too. How many wide receivers in the league can you throw a bubble screen to? He can make a cornerback bounce off of him and then outrun everybody else and house one from 70 yards out, right? Like, I don't know that I can think of anybody else that can body somebody up on the quick bubble screen type of pass there and then outrun everybody else as they try and catch him. Like, there's very few guys in the league that have that skill set and have that ability and that to do that. And the fact that they're not even allowing a big time playmaker like that to put the ball in his hands and let him try and make a play is just absolutely mind boggling there. Excuse me. Alex Collins is not the answer. We've seen that several weeks playing out here. What, though? Adrian Peterson. He's back yet again all day.
I don't think that's going to help them at all.
No, I don't think so either. Adrian Peterson, certainly doesn't look like the Adrian Peterson that we remember from his time with the Titans this year. But it's interesting, right, to be thinking about it this way, that Adrian Peterson keeps getting calls and practice squad signings, and you've got a guy that's 8-9 years younger, and Todd Gurley that is not getting looks by these teams either. So that's that's kind of an interesting one there. I would have expected one of these teams to have at least kind of kicked the tires on Todd Gurley and brought him in for a workout. But
and really, now's when I would. He's had all season. Like, if he's in any type of football shape, now's when I would be calling Todd Gurley. Like, he's good for 4 or 5 games. It's after that where he struggles because of those knees. And everyone, and I know Alex knows, like, I am a Todd Gurley apologist. And part of that is watching him with Georgia. And I have a signed jersey from him hanging up downstairs. Like, I very much enjoy Todd Gurley and the way he plays football. It's a shame about his knees, but now's the time to bring him in. Right. If he's in any sort of shape, now's the time to bring him in because he is explosive enough that he can get it done. He's a better pass blocker than Adrian Peterson is right now, and he's a better pass catcher too. So you can put him out into space and at least give him the opportunity to make someone miss and not just have to run him up in the middle for 2.5 yards in a cloud of dust.
Right. Well, and not only that, too, he's got an incredible nose for the end zone, right? Like, he finds a way to get into the end zone even when he tries to fall down at the 1 yard line there, right? Like, he will find a way to get into the end zone. And, there's a lot of teams out there that could use a back just to, bring on in those goal line packages, if nothing else there, and finish a drive off, because we've seen a lot of teams to get down in the red zone and those drives just stall out there, where a guy like a Todd Gurley could put that in there. So I like that thought. Bring him in here the last few games and just see what he's got. And you're not going to be signing him to big time money, anything like that. So why not kick the tires? But we'll see how this thing plays out. I don't know that we're going to see a team go that route, but it'll be
You know what
interesting.
team should do it, and this is completely subjective. The team that should do it is the Bills because they don't run the ball anyway.
No,
But he is a better pass blocker than Singletary or Zach Moss, and
or
he
Matt Breida.
right, and he can catch the ball out of the backfield a little bit. You don't need to get him the ball a ton, but you put him in an offense that is a pass first team. He's not going to have to go in between the tackles almost. Like I think that he could absolutely be. He could step into the Bills organization and be the best running back, even without having to carry the ball much at all, just because of his skill set and football acumen.
I would agree with you. I do like that thought, and I do like that pick there. Let's go ahead and head to the Sunday night game here with Kansas City and the Denver Broncos facing off. Kansas City's favored by 9.5. The over-under on this one is 47. What are your thoughts here?
I'm taking Kansas City because every time I bet on the Broncos, they lose. When I bet against them, they cover. So I'm taking Kansas City to cover the 9.5. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Um, in all seriousness, the Broncos have not been very good in Arrowhead lately. And
No.
Patrick Mahomes seems to have his most magical plays against the Broncos. It was that first game, kind of his first, was it his first start, second start, something like that. He came in week 15 and torched them. And then the plays where Von Miller's running after him and Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes' first left-handed pass as Von Miller's dragging him to the ground, and just on and on and on. So that being said, I think the Broncos play the right kind of defense to at least slow the Chiefs down a little bit.
Right.
If the Broncos defense can stay patient, like the secondary is super aggressive, so I think they might struggle sitting back in that shell where we've seen the Chiefs struggle a little bit. If they can stay patient and try and frustrate Patrick Mahomes, I do think that's the best course of action for them. Javonte Williams, if Melvin Gordon, who is doubtful at the moment, does not end up playing, Javonte Williams needs to see 23 to 27 touches. Like, I don't care how they find a way to do it. You have to give him the ball. This guy is a gamer. His legs never stop turning. He fights for the extra yards. Like, he wants to play and be a difference maker. Allow him to do it. Keep Bridgewater upright. Let the play action game work where you can get the Chiefs sucked up and you're not caught in a track meet here, because the Broncos will never, ever, ever win that type of matchup against the Chiefs. So all that to say, I'm taking the Chiefs. Hint, hint, wink, wink. And, man, I'm going to take the over because I do think the Chiefs are probably going to hit 30 in this game. 17 to 20 points seems about right for the Broncos. So we might get just over the 47, but that number seems about right here. So, again, hint, hint, wink, wink, but Chiefs in the over.
Yeah, I think I like that one because I see this one kind of playing out at the like this one ultimately has a feel like 27 to 20 type of thing for me. 28 to 20 type of thing, where I think you're right. I think you'll just see the over. I do like the fact that I think the Broncos can do enough on the ground with Javonte Williams and move the ball that way, and just allow Teddy to go out there and sustain drives long enough to keep the Chiefs offense in check long enough in this game to the point where you're not going to see the blowout happen. So I do like the Broncos to cover that one, and I think I'm going to take the over on that one there as well. So yeah, it could be interesting there, and I do like the fact that if the Broncos can do that, you could potentially have a Cortland Sutton type of sighting here with a big play action pass over the top type of thing. I'm not gonna bank on it, but that could very well be in the cards there. If you've got your Kansas City players, you're going to start them. You're going to play them because, again, I think that they'll be very fantasy relevant and they will definitely do what they are supposed to do for you. Any other thoughts here?
No, I expect CEH to go over 100 total yards and a touchdown.
Yep.
Agreed.
And
I don't know exactly what the prop is, but if it's somewhere around there, I'm taking CEH over 100 total yards and a touchdown. I think Travis Kelce is going to have 85 yards and again a possible touchdown. I think Tyreek could see 120 and 2. Like I just don't see how the Broncos are able to slow them down enough. They just don't have the pass rush to get to Patrick Mahomes consistently, and eventually this defense wears down. So if the Broncos are not able to keep the chains moving and keep that defense fresh, it's not going to be pretty here in the fourth quarter, guys.
Right. I would agree with that. All righty, let's head to the Monday Night Foosball game. The New England Patriots heading to the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo favored by 2.5 here, over under 42. What are your thoughts here?
I'm taking the Pats. Like, I did not think I would be saying this at the beginning of the season. Heck, even 3-4 weeks ago, I didn't know that I was going to be saying this, but I'm taking the Pats. Belichick is going to find the magic elixir to slow down Josh Allen. He's going to find ways to frustrate him. They will keep Diggs covered. So we are now looking at Manny Sanders or Cole Beasley. Yep,
or Dawson Knox.
Dawson Knox. Like, I think Knox could still fall in the end zone. He's still a great weapon for them down there. There is no threat of the run game, so the Patriots don't have to worry about that. And quite frankly, the way that New England's defense is playing right now, they are arguably, well, statistically right now, they have the number one defense in the league, but the way that they're currently playing, they're backing that up. It's not just a number in a ranking. So I'm taking the Patriots Monday night. I think they find a way to step up and win this game. It's going to be kind of ugly. It'll be a lower scoring game, something in the neighborhood of, 24-20, maybe 24-23, something like that. But New England is where I'm going. The Bills need to prove that they're ready to dominate this division. They have not been able to do that recently. So until they show that they can beat Big Brother, I'm taking Big Brother to beat up on them.
Right. I mean, the implied point total on this is like 22-20. And as much as I think that this will be a defensive type of battle there, I think you're right. I do think that the Patriots are going to ultimately come out on top there, right? Like, if you're going to have to play behind a defense to win a game, I'm going to pick Bill Belichick's defense to get that job done. And it's not even a hesitation to do that. So I think that we're going to see the over on this one. I don't know that there's as much as a defensive matchup as this is going to be. And both of these teams are playing very good defense. Both of these teams giving up very few points to opposing skill set positions for fantasy football and have been pretty good defensively lately. I just don't see a way that both of these offenses will find a way to sustain enough drives to the point where you're going to see this one. I think I'm kind of right there along the same mindset you are with a 24-21 type of game, even a 27-24 type of game. I think that might be a little bit much there, but I think we're going to just see the over, and I do like the Patriots in this one. So that's what I think I'm going to be looking to do there as well.
Turnovers, right? Yep. Like whichever offense cannot, how about this way? Whichever defense can turn over the ball is going to claim dominance on that field. And while the Bills defense has been playing very well, I, like you, Derek, I'm not betting against Bill Belichick's defense and what he can do on a week-to-week basis. So I think they're going to turn over Josh Allen more so than the Bills defense will turn over the rookie Mac Jones. I expect him to be extremely efficient again.
Mm-hmm. And I expect to see a lot of the tag team of Ramondre Stevenson and Damian Harris again.
Yeah. This should be a fun Monday night game, guys. Mm-hmm. Like, this is for first place in the division, tons of playoff implications. There are times where Monday Night Football is a snoozer. This game's going to be interesting just because of the fallout of everything. And then in 2 weeks, they turn around and play each other again. So, what are you going to put on film and what are you going to hide for the second game? As because you turn around and play them in 2 weeks.
Absolutely. And this one here is going to be just a fun one. I think you're 100% correct there. And ultimately the division, like this is going to make this very interesting, because if you see the Bills pull this one out in a couple of weeks, you're right, you're going to see the rematch of this one, and that one is going to ultimately be for the division and who's going to get some home field during the playoffs, and all of that being said there. So these two teams have gone at each other many times before, and the Bills won the division last year. The Patriots had a stranglehold on that division for a long time before that one. So this one's going to be a testament of wills to who wants it more. And any time that I'm going to have to go into that, I'm going to take the strategery of Belichick. And yes, it's strategery. That is the word I'm choosing to use. But Kevin, I do think that's going to take us down here to the end of it. What final thoughts you got?
Pay attention to the injury reports as they start to come out tomorrow, and especially before this early slate of games, right? Justin Fields, Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins. Let's see, who else here? We know there's no Antonio Brown for the Buccaneers. We're not going to get into that. But then with the Giants and seeing if Shepard and Tony could go, or one of the two of them could go. I don't know that necessarily swings the game, but it could. But at this time of the season, the waiver wire is pretty well picked clean, guys. We all understand that. We know, we get it. So now it's who can react the best to news. And part of that is being able to get your lineup set, and really, for a lot of folks, this is the final week of the regular season. So people are fighting for their playoff lives, and there's going to be a half of all of us in these leagues, at least, who are not going to be playing for a championship after this week. So good luck to you. I hope everybody can make it in, and we can strive for fantasy success. But you need to pay attention if you expect that to happen. It's not just going to fall in your lap.
Agreed. We do have one question coming in here. Evan on YouTube is asking, what wide receiver free agent you like this week? Gage, Deshaun Jackson, Carter, or another? And would you drop Folk or Gay this week?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess Folk or Gay for who is kind of what the first question of that is. If you need a big boom play, Deshaun Jackson might be the guy that you got to play for that big boom play. I think Carter, for the Washington football team, might see the.
It's tough because Curtis Samuel's back.
Yeah, but Carter still got 6 targets last week. Like, yeah. He was 4 for 6 for like 56 yards or something like that. So I mean, Heineke is still looking his way, and I think a part of that's because of the rapport. He's used to seeing Carter out there. Gage could, going up against the Tampa Bay secondary, right? Like, we know Atlanta's going to have to throw the ball to be successful. So Gage might be your floor. Jackson might be your ceiling play if you need like super high ceilings or the chance of a long touchdown, but you're not going to get any sort of relevance in a PPR league out of Deshaun Jackson. You are hoping for a 75-yard
boomer bust,
one and done type thing. And then Carter, I mean, I guess it is Russell Gage out of that group of 3 guys. Like, as we work through this, I think Russell Gage is going to be your option, and hope that Tampa Bay plays a lot of zone, so that way Gage can just try and find the gaps in that zone, and Matt Ryan can hit him.
Yeah, that's
And I would play Gay over Folk this week for whatever that's worth.
Yeah, because I think that you're going to see the Rams put up more points than you'll see the Patriots. Like, that's absolutely the way I'd play that one as well. If nothing else, he'll probably outpoint him on extra point. So,
well, and it's a dome. There's no weather. Like, being up in the Northeast this time of year, the winds are always swirling. It does create a little bit of havoc, especially out there in Buffalo. So, Gay is definitely the safer play as far as the 2 kickers are concerned.
Yep, I would agree with that one as well. Evan, hopefully that answers your question. But guys, I do think that that's going to take us down here to the end of it. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for all the comments, the chats. We appreciate everybody chiming in, all of that good stuff. If you have any questions, anything like that, hit us up on the socials, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at Good Old Boys FF. Do us a big favor. Head over to YouTube, the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast YouTube channel. Click the subscribe button, ring the bell. One of the best ways to help support this independent podcast. Appreciate everybody tuning in. He's Kevin. I'm Derek. Have a good one. Be safe.